Hi everybody and welcome to our webcast today. The content of my presentation is aimed at organisations that are currently running AX, as Nicole mentioned earlier, and are somewhere in the process of deciding when and if they're going to be moving to Dynamics 365 for operations. So I'm going to assume everyone who's listening in knows what Dynamics 365 for finance and operations is, but for any of you who don't, it is really the next version of the Dynamics AX product. It was generally released in November 2016, but it was initially branded as Dynamics 365 for operations. And I think somewhere in there it was AX7 for a while. But in July 2017, it was rebranded as Dynamics 365 for finance and operations. And yes, it is a bit of a mouthful. When I'm talking it through the presentation, we'll talk about Dynamics 365. I'll be meaning the finance and operations piece, not this customer engagement piece. First, I'm going to walk through some of the more common reasons clients have cited for doing nothing. And what we do hear quite a lot is that it's a cost of migration, it's a disruption to our business, and the licensing is simply unaffordable. Now, the cost will depend on a whole lot of factors, but if you're sitting on a highly modified version of 2009, the cost's likely to be material. If you're on 2012 R3 with maybe not so many modifications, the cost's going to be a lot less. So the reason for that is 2012 had functional parity when it moved to 365 when it was first released. So the system has pretty much the same, very, very similar features and functions. 365 is obviously off and being developed since it migrated, but the two systems are far more alike than 2012 and 2009. So I want to pause here for a minute, and I'm going to say something that may be contentious. If an upgrade to D365 is unaffordable and you cannot see circumstances where you will get value out of it, it is legitimate. If you don't need the size, the robustness, and the complexity available that F&O 365 can support, perhaps you were really given a good deal when you first bought it, and now you find yourselves overwhelmed with the features and functions and the ongoing effort and cost. It may be legitimate for you to look at something else. One thing is for sure, if you don't put aside sufficient budget to achieve a successful implementation, you risk project failure. So if you do really truly believe D365 is too much for you, let's say you've downsized, you've sold off large swaths of your business, it is legitimate for you to look at something that may fit you better. I'd like to suggest that Business Central, which is Microsoft's new cloud version of NAV, might be an option for you. Now, there isn't a technical path forward. There's no sort of migration tools to downsize you from an AX installation to a BC installation, but there may be some licensing benefits and discounts for you if you are wanting to move off AX and you are current on your maintenance. So yeah, I don't know that moving off AX entirely is a choice for a lot of the clients, of course. So the other thing is, let's say you like the product, you want to stay on the product, but you cannot realistically afford to move to the new version. So what I do is recommend spending your time on risk mitigation, hunkering down, don't change the system. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Focus on security, maintenance of those underlying systems that support your AX installation, and make sure you've got really solid business continuity strategies in place so you know what you do have is safe and secure, minimizing those points of failure. Okay, for those of you who are looking at the path from AX to D365 and believe it is a legitimate one for your organization, we've had a lot of conversations with companies who are looking at the upgrade that have focused on some very specific reasons to delay or defer. So looking at a few of them now and maybe some counter arguments. What I would say is ERP systems, in my experience, are a little bit like people. They do rise to deliver what's expected of them. And if you don't expect much of your ERP, if it's an overhead, a necessary evil, then you're likely to spend more time minimizing the cost. But if you can see it's going to be of real value to your bottom line, gives you some strategic advantages, then, and have it positioned as a value creator, then it's really important to make sure that the ERP evolves in support of your business. You're looking at an upgrade. One of the most important things you'll probably have to do next is understand exactly what the effort is to do the upgrade and have a good understanding of the total cost of ownership, or the costs that revolve around upgrading and maintaining a new cloud system. Right, so before we move off this conversation around doing nothing, I want to drill down on this terminology that I think is pretty important. So first of all, mainstream support. When Microsoft stops mainstream support, they no longer enhance the product. You're not getting any bug fixes or patches. There's no ability to do any warranty claims against the software, and there is no acceptance. They don't accept requests for any feature or design changes. So unless it's a policy of your organization to always be on a mainstream supported product, why wouldn't you just sail past mainstream support? So what does extended support mean, and why is that different and more important? So extended support, once that ends, you will no longer count on Microsoft to issue security patches and reliability patches. And what does that really mean in practice? Is security important? Is it important to you? So I hopefully that's a rhetorical question. I would refer you to that website that you see there. That link will take you to Microsoft's mainstream and extended support policy information. But what I want to do now is let's have a look at where the various Dynamics products are in terms of their life cycle on this support. So AX 2009 Service Pack 1, we're not even going to look at RTM. It is not supported at all. So AX 2009 Service Pack 1, mainstream support finished in 2018. And you'll notice that for RTM and R2, for AX 2012, the mainstream support also ended on 9th of October 2018. So we have all sailed past that date. So if you're on 2012 RTM or R2 or 2009, you are now no longer under mainstream support. Extended support, which means you can access security patches and fixes, and they will be issued, extends through to 2021 for both the 2009 SP1 and 2012 RTM and R2. For those of you who are on R3, the mainstream support, you've got a bit of breathing room. It ends on that same day, 2021, for mainstream support, and then extended support will run through to January 10, 2023. So again, think about what no security patches means, and think about how you would explain to an auditor or someone who is concerned about security and risk in your organization on why you would have an ERP system that does not get security patches released if needed. Some pretty important dates, I think.